Good afternoon. Looks like a very small group here today. I'm Greg Harper, and normally when I come on stage, I'm accompanied by a robotic suitcase that follows me on board because I'm known as the gadget guy. I'm always pulling stuff out of my pockets, showing interesting things. So, for example, I have a little drone here that I keep in my pocket. And the reason I do that is because I like to engage with the audience. I like to truly give something to back so when they're in the audience, they're seeing something they wouldn't normally see. So that's part of the idea behind presentations. You really want to get the audience there. But what happens when you have some of your audience that's remote? What happens when that audience is not watching on a beautiful screen like this and not a 100-foot screen, but maybe it's only a 15-foot screen, or maybe it's your phone or your iPad? How do you get that same experience? And that's why I look at XR as being something that we really should be thinking about. So the thing that sort of struck me is when our son just graduated from college, he went to work for a major bank, and he came back over the first day, and I asked him, how'd it go? And he said, it was great, except, their technology was so backwards. And I was going, whoa. He grew up in a home with lots of technology in it, so it's not totally surprising. But that really resonated with me because if I'm going to be doing something with a new generation of people coming to the workplace, I can't go by just putting two-dimensional slides on the screen. I can't deal with just another PowerPoint up there in iMac. You start doing that, and what you start ending up with is just old school. And I think about the people that are coming into the workplace today. They're used to doing things. They're seeing things. I don't know if any of you saw the last presentation at the WWC, the Worldwide Developers Conference from Apple. But Craig, who's the head of software development for Apple, he walked into the Steve Jobs rotunda, and just a big empty space, and then they did an effect that was basically out of James Bond. A circle opened up on him, and he transitioned down into the bottom, into the base of it, and just really create a really great experience for those people who were not in the room. And I said, wow, that's the type of stuff we need to think about when we're doing corporate presentations. We can't just get by with just a PowerPoint. So in one of the spaces that I work in, we have a screen that's 100 feet long. There's no way that I'm going to be able to capture that for the people in the home. And we now are in a hybrid world where we really want to have a meeting equality. So you have to think about the audience, the remote audience, as much as you think about the existing audience. You can't just say, oh, I'll put a PowerPoint up there and somebody will follow around with a camera and get me. And I personally, I do a lot of gadget shows, and I'm constantly showing things. Like, for example, I have this little device here, and I'll hold it up, and everybody goes, well, that's cool. Now, this one I won't run here because it pushes this little red button, and it will send an infrared beam and turn off all the monitors in the room. Not a good idea. It's a fun thing to do, by the way, if you're in a Best Buy and you really want to have some fun. It knocks all the Sony, then the Panasonic, then the Samsung, then the LG monitors out. So not something I do normally. But there are other things I would show. A little gadget, for example, is this little guy here. And this thing is, it looks like a keychain thing. And what this is a buoy for your keys. So if you throw your keys overboard or you lost them, it will expand out into a little balloon, and it'll bring the keys back up the surface. Well, wouldn't it be cool if I could actually demonstrate that? I'm not going to have a bucket of water here. I'm not going to do that. But in XR, I could really do that. So all of a sudden, my presentations become more alive, not just for the people in the audience, but now the people remotely. So I want to try and create an experience for the folks remote that's equal to or better than the experience that you would have in the presence and when you're in the audience. So I also look at, if I'm doing financial data, and I do a lot of work in the financial space, walking into a financial graph, and we've all seen the graphs, but when you look at it in 3D, it's a very different world. That's why we're spending a lot of time doing things with augmented reality. And so I carry my augmented reality glasses here, and I can't show you this. I mean, I can have it on here, it looks kind of cool, but you'd have no idea what I'm seeing. But if I had this tied in with an XR system, then all of a sudden you could see it. And more importantly, you could see exactly what I see. So whether it's my the little pocket drone that I have in my pocket, that would give you an example of what that is. I fly this occasionally. Not so much fun to do for people at home because they can't follow it. But it really is a matter of letting you understand and appreciate the content in a way that you would not normally be able to do if you're sitting in the audience and watching it here, and especially if you're at home watching it on a small screen. So the whole magic of XR, we all think about XR as being something that would be for The Mandalorian or some filmmaking. And yes, I was a TV producer for many years, and I certainly appreciate that. But I have to think about my entire audience. I can't think about just the audience that's in the room. I have to think about the audience that's remote. And that's where those tools become extremely valuable. So unfortunately, we don't have an XR system here, but hopefully maybe next year you will, and we can actually demonstrate this capability. Because if you haven't seen it, it's really quite amazing. And you also have to remember that the presenters in a corporate space don't know how to work with a green screen. They don't know how to improvise with things. They want to see something. So for example, if I had a reference monitor over here, and I was looking at that reference monitor, I could be looking at the camera, but the people people here, you see me talking, and I'm talking to a remote participant. I don't have to turn my back to the screen, but I'm talking to remote participants. Now, the people at home in XR, they could actually see an avatar. They could actually see someone there, and I see me talking to them, because I'll have the eye contact, because I'll be looking through them. It's not like I need a teleprompter, because I'll talk directly to the camera, and they will see exactly what I'm seeing, and they will see that interaction going back and forth. That will enhance the presentation. If you saw Consumer Electronics Show these past couple of years, as you know, they haven't been having it in person. And so a lot of the companies did presentations remotely. And I attend those presentations. I've been doing CES for God knows how many years. But when you go to CES, one of the wonderful things is watching the presentations. So Mary Barra, the chairwoman of GM, she not only did the thing with the XR, but she actually took the vehicles and exploded them up. Not physically exploded them, but pulled it apart so I could see where the batteries were, the electric powertrain was, understand the notion of a digital platform for the automotive space. And that is what I can do with XR that I can't do in a real space here. I can't just bring a GM vehicle and take it all apart on stage. I can do that with XR. I can also do that for the WWC. They wanted to create an experience that was different than the experience you'd get by just coming into the auditorium and seeing it. So the bottom line is, don't think of XR as being something just for the movie-making business. Don't think of it just as something to do the weather at the end of the day, the weatherman. You have to think about it as a tool to give the meeting equality, so that the people at home get an experience that equal, and maybe even in some cases better than the people in the audience. You can do IMAG, and you can put 2D up there. It looks great, but you're not going to get the same 3D experience that you'd have with XR. So that's why I'm pretty bullish about XR, and I'm very interested in how I can use that in the corporate space. And it's going to be real. We're going to be doing this on a regular basis now. This is not something that's coming down the pike. And when we start combining that technology with the tracking cameras, with great screens like we have here, all of a sudden the experience becomes something truly exceptional. And that's how we want to do it. We want to communicate. We want to talk about things. So whether I have my toys that I bring with me or my robotic suitcase that follows me around, I'm still looking to make an impression. I'm still looking to create something for the audience that makes it different. And that's what I can do with digital technology that I can't do with just plain old two-dimensional PowerPoint slides. And again, I can't emphasize enough, think about the people coming into the workplace in the future. They are experiencing this. They do this. I have grandkids. They don't even know what it's like not to be able to pinch and look and zoom on their phones or their tablets and all the rest. They're expecting that. And if they walk into the corporation and they see a presentation in the old school, they're going to be like my son saying, oh, cool working in this company, but the technology is so old school. It's so old-fashioned, it doesn't work. Anyway, thank you for your attention. Be more than happy to answer any questions if you have any questions. And hopefully this is I guess we're running toward the end of the show here today. It's almost time for the beer. So I don't know if you have beer here, but we'll maybe do that. Again, thanks very much.